Famous eateries opening stores in department stores. Department stores are strategically inviting famous restaurants to sell food in their food halls. How is it affecting the industry? Korea and China are struggling to reach a free trade agreement after beginning negotiations in 2012. Can the two countries speed up talks after China's President Xi Jinping's visit to Seoul? The technology hidden behind the bazooka, the official ball of the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. We will look into the principle of aerodynamics that affects the speed and accuracy of the sports ball. Now we can also enjoy TV home shopping in a smart way. Let's meet the home shopping network that consumers can easily use with their smartphones. China's President Xi Jinping visits South Korea before its traditional ally, North Korea. What has changed recently in the blood alliance relationship of the two countries?
Hello, I'm Andrew Salmon and welcome to Bizline. Now, a fierce competition is currently underway among department stores in Korea to lure high-spending customers. But how does department store A differentiate its offerings from those of department store B? Well, an emerging factor is not shopping facilities, but dining facilities. Department stores are currently going all out to bring in top-end restaurants to set up shop inside their food courts. So, let's take a close-up look at this war, not for hearts and minds, but for wallets and stomachs.
Department stores in Korea are luring customers by providing the tastiest eating experiences. It is a new means of marketing to survive in the competitive world of shopping. A bakery located at a department store in Seoul. It's easy to tell that there is a long line here.
야채빵이랑 단팥빵 좀 사려고 주문했습니다. 그 앞쪽에서 먼저 끊길 수도 있다 그러는데 지금 저희는 뭐 한 10분 정도 기다리고 있거든요. 예.
평균 빵집으로서는 이례적으로 1,600만 원 정도 매출을 올리고 있는데 그 많은 손님들이 방문을 하셔가지고 매일매일 이성당에서 빵을 구매를 해주시고 또 그로 인해서 다른 매장까지 연계된 매출을 올리게 됨으로써 추가적으로 매출 발생도 유도를 하고 있습니다.
People are in line to buy what may look ordinary vegetable bread called 야채빵 and bread filled with red bean paste called 단팥빵. What's more, one customer can't buy more than 5 items at a time because the breads are sold out very quickly. Reason for such success is because this bakery is a landmark in Kunsan, Jeollabuk-do province, also being the oldest bakery in Korea. The bakery is called 이성당 and it has been operating for 3 generations and boasts annual sales of $10 million. Because the bakery did not open any branches until now, opening a store at Lotte department store in Seoul was enough to make headlines.
저희가 작년에 롯데백화점에서 팝업 스토어로 행사를 진행했었습니다. 근데 그 당시에 너무 서울 쪽에서 고객님들이 너무 서울에도 오픈해달라고 원하시는 고객님들이 많으셨고 롯데백화점 측에서도 군산에 수차례 방문을 하면서 조금 더 많은 고객님들에게 이성당의 제품을 좀 맛봤으면 좋겠다 해서 저희가 이제 고민 끝에 이성당에서 직접적으로 서울에 하나 오픈을 해서 운영을 하게 됐습니다.
The success story of 이성당 at Lotte department store isn't the only case. Famous roadside restaurants are now opening their second restaurant or another chain in department stores. Department stores are trying to revamp their restaurant floors as a place where customers can find all the delicious dishes. Shinsegae department store has renovated its food department with luxurious interior designs and allocated famous restaurants and partially opened the floor a month ago, calling it Gourmet Street. D-Cube City department store has introduced its restaurants under a theme of Korean food, calling it Korean Food Street. Main meals, snacks, desserts, and drinks are all offered in Korean traditional way, and the interior design mimics Korean traditional marketplace.
양동마을을 좀 모티브로 해서 거기는 한옥의 그런 거리 풍경이라든가 실제 우리 그 시장의 모습들을 많이 이번에 반영을 좀 시켰고요. 그리고 한식 탐방대라는 이제 거를 발족을 시켜서 1년 동안 전국에 있는 한식의 메뉴들을 다 저희가 먹어보고 또 백화점에 맞는 걸로 많이 개발을 했습니다. 그래서 전국 8도에 있는 메뉴들을 한식 저작거리에서는 다 드실 수 있다라고 생각하시면 됩니다.
Department stores are eagerly seeking famous restaurants to open their chains at the store because their presence affects the store's total sales.
남자친구랑 밥 먹으려고 왔는데 위에 또 백화점이다 보니까 쇼핑도 할 수 있어서 구경도 하다가 같이 놀다가 가려고요.
네, 맛있는 케이크 사러 여기 백화점 왔는데 케이크도 사고 또 위에는 옷 구경도 할 수 있고 또 쇼핑할 수 있는 것 같아서 좋은 것 같아요. 네.
Data released by a department store shows that having famous restaurants at the store resulted in a 60% increase in number of customers and a 25% rise in sales. And that is because customers who come to eat or buy food tend to make purchases of other items. A survey conducted by Hyundai Department Store of its customers shows that a correlation between people who come to its restaurant and people who make purchases at the foods corner was at 65.5%. The so-called correlation purchase rate is a percentage of how many people who come to purchase a certain product also buy another item. Higher the number means higher the chance of triggered purchase.
최근에는 어떤 큰 몰이나 쇼핑센터나 이런 것들이 지어졌을 때 제일 먼저 그 소위 그 매장 아울렛이라고 하나요? 그 입점 업체를 고르는 가장 파워를 누가 갖고 있었냐면은 그 명품 업체들이 갖고 있었어요. 하지만 최근에는 그 추세가 바뀌어서 식음료가 먼저 결정이 됩니다. 그 이후에 어떤 브랜드가 들어올지가 결정이 되거든요. 그것만 보더라도 결국은 소비자를 끌어당기는 가장 큰 힘은 제품에서부터 식음료 쪽으로 움직이고 있다고 그렇게 봐도 좋을 것 같습니다.
With the change in trend, department stores are touring around the nation to find good restaurants to enter their stores. Sometimes they work on a project to open a certain restaurant for a year.
사실 백화점에서 가장 서로 차별화될 수 있는 부분이 식품관입니다. 의류 브랜드 같은 경우에는 중요한 브랜드들이 정해져 있고 또 그 브랜드들이 여러 백화점에서 동시에 영업을 하고 있어서 차별화가 힘든데 식품 같은 경우에는 각 백화점마다 그 특색이 굉장히 다양하고 차별화가 되어 있습니다. 그래서 그런 차별화 경쟁의 일환으로 지역 맛집들 유치에 공을 올리고 있습니다.
The rising importance of food departments could be a reflection of economic recession. As people go through financial difficulties, they seek a small luxury by going to a good place to eat, another means of lipstick effect. Department stores can no longer survive just being a place where people come to shop. With the rise in popularity of online shopping, they need to find means to attract customers, and the solution has been found by becoming a place where people come to enjoy eating experiences.
그러니까 제품만 사러 소비자들이 가는 곳이 아니고 시간을 보내고 여가를 즐기고 가족과 좋은 시간을 보내기 위한 그 종합 엔터테인먼트의 위치로 바뀌고 있습니다. 그래서 아마 더 엔터테인먼트적인 요소가 강해지는 그런 그 움직임이 있을 것 같고요. 그것은 어떻게 보면 온라인 쇼핑 같은 것들이 점점 발달하면서 자기가 꼭 필수품이라고 하는 것들은 차라리 온라인에서 구매를 하고 백화점이나 이런 그 사이트로 가는 경우에는 쇼핑의 즐거움, 그러니까 즐거움을 더 위주로 해서 가기 때문에 먹는 즐거움, 뭐 쇼핑하는 즐거움, 구경하는 즐거움, 뭐 이런 것들을 백화점이 충족시켜주는 그런 형태로 발전되는 것 같습니다.
Department stores are no longer a place where customers go blindly. With fast-changing shopping trends, they will need to find means to meet customers' tastes, both in fashion and what they eat, to stay competitive.
Chinese President Xi Jinping was in Seoul on 3rd and 4th of April for a summit with his Korean counterpart, President Park Geun-hye. And during the summit, the rapport between the two leaders was noticeably close. In the wake of this summit, many anticipate the already booming economic ties between China and Korea to be further strengthened. So, will this happen, or could there be obstacles on the horizon? These are some of the questions we have for our guest today. He's a professor at the Graduate School of International Studies here at the elite Seoul National University. Professor Park Tae-ho, welcome back to Bizline.
Good to see you again.
Okay, well, thanks for being here. Firstly, I'm sure you watched it very, very closely. What was your overall sense of the summit, and what do you think of the outcome?
Well, as far as economic areas are concerned, I think President Xi's visit to Korea this time seemed to be very successful. Most importantly, both leaders agreed to speed up the ongoing 2-year-old FTA negotiations.
The free trade
agreement
negotiations.
Which is a very important element. And also, more than 200 Chinese business leaders came with President Xi, and President Park Geun-hye and President Xi Jinping participate together in the bilateral business forum where more than 400 Chinese and Korean business leaders get together and discuss many cooperation projects. So I think this will lead to further deepening our bilateral economic relations in the future.
Okay, let's move on to, in more detail, this issue of the China-Korea FTA. Now, people say here that for a China-Korea FTA to be signed is going to require much more of a political decision than previous FTAs with the US, with Chile, with Canada, with Australia, with the EU, and so on. Given that China is now a widely accepted member of the global community, it sits on the UN Security Council, it's a member of the WTO, and so forth, why does there need to be this political decision, or is that accurate?
Well, FTAs seem to be economic issues.
Sure.
But if you go into the detail, they have to talk about or negotiate about the market opening of very sensitive sectors in each economy. So we need sometimes a political decision to close this kind of big FTA negotiations. I don't know whether you remember this or not. Korea had huge experiences in the past, especially when we conclude and implemented major FTAs with the United States and EU. With the United States particularly, lots of demonstration. But purely the weak sectors like agricultural sector, they lead the whole, the opposition campaign. So I think sometimes you need political decision to close up these big FTAs.
Now, through May, I think Korea and China had held 11 negotiations thus far on this FTA. So obviously there's a lot of work being done on it. What are the problems? What are the hold-ups?
Well, actually, Chinese former Trade Minister Chun Dong-ming and I, then serving as Trade Minister of Korea, we launched the negotiation in May 2012. And then we went on, many negotiations, but actually last October last year, we had the first stage conclusion, which means that we actually agreed on structure of the negotiation, which is a big development. Right now, each party try to protect, as I said before, so-called sensitive sectors as much as possible so that they can have a more favorable agreement.
What are those sectors?
For example, Korean side, considering the huge Chinese economy, we are very close to each other. Agricultural sector, fishery sector, as well as some light manufacturing, labor-intensive manufacturing sector. Maybe this sector will give hard time to our small and medium-sized companies. So we want to talk about that kind of sensitive sectors. While China, if you want to see the economic development stages, China is more concerned about the regular heavy and chemical manufacturing sector, which they feel still weak for competing with Korean companies. So we are doing that kind of negotiation right now.
So basically that's the hold-up thus far. Now, the two presidents both said they want to see this deal finalized, if not implemented, by the end of this year. Frankly, is that timetable feasible?
I think we are in the final stage of exchanging so-called concession list. I think we can do it. So two leaders didn't make any final, kind of commitment.
Right.
But they show strong will to complete this negotiation before the end of this year.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. Now, China has been the largest single trade partner for Korea since 2004. Some would say things are already going very, very well economically. If we have an FTA, is Korea not linking its economic horse too firmly to the Chinese cart?
In fact, in the Korean, even academic circles, there are two groups. One group really concerned about the too much dependence on China economically. So we don't need a FTA, bilateral FTA. But the other group says that China is growing very dynamically these days. In a country being very close to each other, should we just sit down and doing nothing?
Right.
We have to exploit, utilize this kind of opportunity. So FTA, bilateral FTA will give much more favorable momentum for Korea to grow, actually. So I'm actually in the latter
the
group.
latter category. You're positive on this. Okay.
So I think if you look at the policy changes of China regarding external economic policies, they emphasize more on domestic demand now than exporting, and they also focus on the development of inland of China.
The center of China rather than the coastal regions,
like Xi'an. And also they talk about reform of the economy reform through market opening. So I think if you consider that kind of aspect and also Korea's opportunity to be close to China, I think both countries need FTA. We are number 3 largest countries in Asia, East Asia. China is number 1, so why don't we do this kind of FTA to produce much more dynamism, which can help the world economy also.
Let's continue that thought. You mentioned that China is reforming its economy and also, of course, wants to expand its very underdeveloped peasant interior. These two different issues, what opportunities do they offer Korean companies?
I heard that almost every year in China, more than 30 new cities are being created. Each city has more than 1 million people, so lots of infrastructure and road building and many domestic demand is needed, and this creates a huge opportunity for Korean companies to participate in that kind of project. I remember year 2011, Chinese passenger cars. 18 million cars are sold in China. It creates a lot of traffic problems and other things.
I was in Beijing last year.
You cannot imagine how big the Chinese domestic market is. So I think this is really good opportunity for Korean companies to jointly develop Chinese economy. Local regions with Chinese companies too.
Gotcha. Okay. I also get the sense that many Western companies, Western investors have heard horror stories about China and are perhaps a bit reluctant to directly invest there, but they want a China play. You've got to be part of China. Would a Korean company be a way, could they invest in a Korean company which is now going into China as a way to piggyback into the Chinese market?
You know what? Korea-China FTA is a kind of FTA, bilateral FTA. But for Korea, this is a very important FTA. In addition to Korea-US, Korea-EU FTA. If we connect the United States, EU, and even China, then Korea has some kind of FTA network, right? So bilateral FTA promote bilateral trade. However, Korea, especially when I work for the government, we emphasize the fact that if we have a connection between Korea and China through FTA, we really hope that many foreign companies from abroad, especially Europe and Japan and United States, come to Korea to establish so-called R&D center, some production facilities,
as a springboard,
and to use as a strategic platform to get into the Chinese market using Korea-China FTA, which will actually create quality jobs for young people in Korea. So I think Korea-China FTA is very, very important, not just because of bilateral trade agreement, but it creates
to bring in other investors,
huge, attractive environment in Korea. So I think we hope in the future, world economy is still in the recession. If this becoming, they recover slowly, then I think they want to consider Korea as a very, very, important strategic place.
Platform and middleman. But we've talked about economic issues. Let's finish up with more strategic and diplomatic issues. Now, obviously, Korea is getting very, very closely into bed with China. I think this may discomfort some people, particularly in Tokyo and Washington, D.C. Looking into the future, is it feasible for Korea to avoid making an either-or choice and to continue to enjoy a very strong strategic partnership with Washington, while at the same time having a much closer economic relationship with China?
Well, for that question, I'm not really an expert on strategic or international relations kind of area, but as an economist, I see this current very thorny situation in Northeast Asia between China and Japan and Korea and Japan. I hope really this is a temporary phenomena, and as time goes by, maybe we can overcome this kind of difficulties. But if you consider Korea's geopolitical location, there's no other choice, but Korea should get along well with all the major powers. Including United States. Otherwise, if you lean too much to some place, I don't think this is a good strategy for Korea, even in the future. But the more important variable there is North Korea. Think about this time, she visit Korea. Maybe they say that North Korea is upset, but I don't really think so, because China want to maintain both South and North Korea. By visiting Korea, I don't know, they will provide some kind of extra, gift to North Korea to,
keep them happy.
And also through that, China is getting close to North Korea, so they're getting some kind of benefit from there too. So you never know. But
it's a double bluff.
But as far as Korea is concerned, we have to do many things well together.
Well, Dr. Park, you have close and in-depth knowledge of this area. Thank you very much indeed for sharing some of your thoughts with us here on Bizline. Thanks once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
What would you do if you think it is a waste to leave the smartphones, cameras, notebooks that you don't use, but you feel it is a hassle to sell them? This week's app of the week is SellIt. This app takes care of selling used goods in every step of the way. First, you register the type and name of the item you want to sell, and upload a photo of the product with a brief description. If you feel the price proposed by a potential buyer is reasonable based on market prices of used products, you press the Proceed button. Then you wrap up the product and send it to SellIt. It will find an appropriate buyer, make a transaction, and send the proceeds from the sale to your bank account. Now, you can enjoy selling or buying used products in a quick and easy way.
The 2014 World Cup in Brazil has been more exciting than ever before, with the goals coming thick and fast. But while the attention of most fans focuses on the teams, the players and the tactics, very little focus has been leveled at the object which is at the very center of all the action. And that object is Brazuca, the official ball of Brazil 2014. Now Brazuca, it is claimed, is faster and more stable than any previous football. How so? Well, behind even this ostensibly simple object, there's a fair amount of science and technology.
A festive event around the world, the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil. There were many goals scored from the beginning of the tournament. One of the reasons is attributed to the bazooka, the official match ball of the 2014 FIFA World Cup. Sports and aerodynamics are closely related, so let's take a look at the technology of aerodynamics in sports balls. Scoring a goal was scarce at the previous World Cups before the tournament in Brazil. With the rise of goals scored this year, football fans are in cheers. During the 48 group matches, 136 goals were scored, which averaged to 2.83 goals per match. The official match ball of the 2014 FIFA World Cup, the bazooka, is believed to be the reason. So what is the relation between sports and aerodynamics?
일단 경기력과 직결된다고 볼 수 있습니다. 예를 들면 특히 이제 스포츠에서 행하고 있는 이런 장비 또는 유니폼 이런 것도 일종의 이제 공기역학과 연관된 즉 경기력 향상, 퍼포먼스를 향상시키는 하나의 방법이다라고 얘기할 수 있죠. 이 공도 이러한 이 과학적인 예를 들면 구에 가깝게 최대한 가깝게 만들어서 볼을 좀 더 정확하게 보내고 좀 더 강력하게 보내고 이러면서 이 경기의 흐름을 좀 더 재밌고 유익하게 하는 하나의 그런 또 이 요소라고도 볼 수가 있습니다.
There is a Magnus effect to every sports ball that spins in the air. The Magnus effect is seen in the airstream of a back-spinning ball, which shows rise in pressure from below the ball and a fall in pressure on the top side, lifting the ball. The effect explains the principle of a banana free kick in football and a breaking ball in baseball. An aerodynamic sports ball helps to keep itself longer in the air and farther in driving distance.
우리가 이런저런 높은 곳에서 낮은 곳으로 볼이 이동하게 되어 있습니다. 궤적이. 따라서 얼마만큼 회전을 많이 주냐에 따라서 더 많이 이동 궤적이 나타날 수 있고 또 회전을 좀 적게 주면 그만큼 이동 궤적의 회전량이 즉 곡선 운동이 덜 날 수 있는 것이죠. 그만큼 이 무회전 킥이나 아니면 매끈매끈한 볼 같은 경우는 그만큼 이 정확성이나 볼의 방향을 예측하기가 좀 더 어려운 반면에 예를 들면 돌기 부분이 있는 것은 공기가 진행하는 방향과 해서 저항을 좀 더 비교적 골고루 형성하기 때문에 좀 더 정확하고 좀 더 멀리 날아갈 수 있다는 것이죠.
As such, sports and aerodynamics are closely related, especially in sports balls. Thus, sports ball makers are introducing products that are lower in air resistance. The bazooka has been made of 6 polyurethane panels, which have been thermally bonded, and it's stated to be closest to a perfect sphere and most aerodynamic.
이 미세돌기 같은 경우에는 공기역학에 가장 많은 영향을 끼치는데요. 이 부분은 자동차나 항공기 기술에서 보면 많이 아실 수가 있습니다. 그 공기 저항을 가장 줄임으로 인해서 그 선수들이 가끔씩 차는 무회전 킥을 공에 떨리는 것을 방지하는 그런 기능을 가지고 있습니다. 브라즈카 같은 경우에는 기존의 자블라니보다 약 1.5배 이음선이 길어졌습니다. 이음선이 길어지고 그 형태가 일정하게 됨으로 인해서 훨씬 더 공이 정확하게 날아가는 것을 이미 테스트를 통해서 확인이 되었습니다.
As a result, the bazooka is 20% faster than the Jabulani, which was the official match ball of the previous World Cup in South Africa. Aerodynamics also play an important role in a golf ball. More than 1,500 golf ball designs have been patented to assure golf lovers will hit the ball farther with accuracy. It's a compilation of many skills. The golf ball's dimples affect its aerodynamics.
임팩트시 클럽의 로프트 각도에 의해서 골프공에는 역회전이 발생하게 됩니다. 이때 딤플의 영향으로 골프공의 위쪽과 아래쪽의 공기의 흐름이 달라지게 되는데요. 만약에 딤플이 없고 매끄러운 공은 뒤쪽에 회용돌이가 많이 생겨서 그만큼 저항을 많이 받기 때문에 비거리가 줄어들고요. 딤플은 이제 그런 효과를 많이 줄여주는 역할을 합니다.
tests show that the driving distance of golf balls vary according to the number of dimples. A ball without dimples flew about 155 meters, but a golf ball with 392 dimples went 218 meters. More dimples to a golf ball makes it fly farther out.
네, 딤플이 이제 없는 공 같은 경우는 비거리가 총 30-40% 정도가 감소하게 됩니다. 예를 들면 200m 나가는 골퍼가 타격하였을 때 딤플이 없는 공 같은 경우는 30%니까 한 140m로 대폭 비거리의 감소가 나타날 수 있습니다.
However, too many dimples can be a disadvantage as well.
딤플이 많다고 좋은 공은 아니고요. 그 딤플의 크기와 깊이가 적절하게 배치된 공이 좋은 공이라고 볼 수 있습니다. 딤플의 깊이가 너무 깊으면 공기의 저항을 많이 받고요. 얕으면 많이 떠오르게 됩니다. 그 딤플의 크기가 크면 그 공기 역학적으로 많이 떠오르게 되고요. 그 다음에 작은 딤플은 그 큰 딤플과 효율적으로 배치돼서 안정적으로 비거리가 많이 나오게 하는 역할을 합니다.
The role of the dimples is important in deciding the driving distance, and golf balls are being developed with varied dimple sizes and depth for improved distance and accuracy. Studies are not limited to golf balls, and research is underway to develop the best performance sports balls.
아마 앞으로는 이 스포츠 종목의 이 시대의 흐름에 따라서 이 기구나 아니면 이런 용품들이 더 다양하게 변할 겁니다. 뭐 축구가 공이 그랬듯이. 그래서 야구공뿐만 아니라 그러니까 축구공 내지는 뭐 골프공도 지금보다는 더 진화된, 또 아니면 공기 역학을 좀 더 활용한, 또 보다 더 나은 기술, 보다 나은 비거리를 확보하기 위한 그런 연구들이 향후 더 활발히 이루어질 것이고, 아마 그 시장도 상당히 클 것으로 예상됩니다.
The technology of aerodynamics helps to increase the distance the ball travels and its duration in the air. As new technologies are applied to sports balls, we may see new records set and sports history rewritten.
There was a time when, if you wanted to go shopping, you had to visit an actual bricks and mortar shop. That changed with the advent of TV home shopping, but even that is now becoming old hat. And the reason should be obvious. To do TV home shopping, you have to be at home in front of your TV. And for a fanatical shopper, that simply is not good enough. So the focus of non-traditional shopping is now shifting from TV to mobile devices. How's it happening? Let's take a look.
Mobile shopping is emerging as a mega trend in home shopping as the industry shifts from the era of shopping while comfortably watching the television at home. Home is disappearing from home shopping. The pivot of home shopping market is moving to mobile. We introduce you to a large home shopping war taking place inside smartphones. This is a double-income newlywed couple. They had a baby a short while ago, so their life has become more hectic. They don't even have time to go to the hypermarkets or department stores, so they use TV home shopping to buy the goods they need. From food, clothes to children's products, home shopping sells everything they need in life, so they love to use it.
저희 부부는 맞벌이기 때문에 쇼핑하러 갈 시간이 없어서 주로 홈쇼핑을 많이 이용을 하곤 합니다. 상세하게 설명이 되어 있기 때문에, 그리고 구입도 바로 할 수 있어서 저는 어플을 거의 많이 사용하는 편이에요.
This office worker in her 20s is also known as a home shopping maniac. She can't watch home shopping channels during working hours, but she doesn't buy goods during the airtime. Instead, she uses home shopping applications on her smartphone, available 24 hours a day, because she can search the products she wants and order them immediately anywhere.
저는 집에서 TV 홈쇼핑을 볼 수 없어서요. 밖에서 필요한 물건을 그때그때 보고 구매하는 편입니다. 그래서 휴대폰으로 보면 방송도 볼 수 있고 배송도 빨리 돼서 애용하는 편이에요.
The pivot of home shopping, which largely sold products via television, internet, and catalogs, has been rapidly changing to mobile. Pay TV market is already saturated. Many housewives and middle-aged people watch home shopping TV shows, but young people who always carry smartphones use mobile shopping applications from time to time and get absorbed in shopping. Recently, the age group using mobile shopping apps has been expanding amid rapidly growing mobile home shopping market. The number of mobile shopping app users in Korea already surpassed 15 million people a month on average last year. And Korea's mobile shopping market is forecast to rise $7.6 billion this year from $3.97 billion in 2013. As a result, Korea's leading home shopping companies saw their mobile shares of total home shopping volume double from last year.
모바일 시장의 확대에는 업계와 그리고 디바이스 환경의 변화와 같은 것들에 따라서 업계의 노력이 더 강한 그 프로모션을 갖다 만들고 있는 그러한 형상으로 움직여 나가고 있습니다. 향후에 이러한 과정들은 아마 방송 환경과 쇼핑 환경의 융합에 따라서 점점 더 강하게 성장하는 그러한 모습을 보이게 되지 않을까 하고 생각이 됩니다.
Among them, we visited GS Shop, one of Korea's largest home shopping companies. Live home shopping TV shows run round the clock each day. The studio is always filled with a tense atmosphere because sales of up to hundreds of thousands of US dollars come and go in brief moments. Normally, home shopping shows recommend customers to use ARS calls, but in fact, a substantial number of people order their products through mobile apps.
보통 모바일로 주문을 많이 안 하실 것 같았는데 요즘은 스마트폰을 거의 많이 들고 계셔서 인터넷이나 TV 주문보다는 모바일 주문을 더 많이 하시는 것 같아요. 그래서 저희도 방송할 때 모바일 주문을 많이 권해드리고 있어요.
일단은 고객분들이 TV하고 PC를 이용하는 시간이 많이 감소를 했고요. 그 감소를 하면서 오히려 디바이스는 이제 사실은 모바일 쪽으로 많이 전이가 되셨습니다. 고객의 행동 변화에 따른 어떤 기업들의 전략 변화, 그러한 것들이 같이 아울러가지고 또 세상의 트렌드가 이제 어느 정도 모바일 쪽으로 훨씬 더 많이 가고 어디서든지 자연스럽게 쓸 수가 있기 때문에 모바일 쪽이 훨씬 더 많은 성장률을 가져가고 있습니다.
The company has been strengthening links between mobile and TV home shopping as well as steadily developing products suitable for mobile home shopping. Among them, GS Shop strengthened the curating function that put forward today's deal or recommended products on limited mobile screens. Home shopping's curating function is similar to that of social commerce in general, but different in selecting products.
기존의 사람들이 잘 알고 있는 브랜드들, 고객분들이 잘 알고 있는 브랜드들을 더 많이 팔 수 있는 구조로 사실은 저희는 접근을 하고 있습니다. 그래서 고객이 사야 되는 이유를 저희가 설명을 해주는 그런 방식의 큐레이션을 통해서 저희가 대량 판매, 그리고 딜이라는 걸 가지고 있는 대량 판매를 좀 더 공격적으로 진행을 하고 있습니다.
And the company is holding various events to make shopping as pleasant as games. For young customers, it's added fun to shopping by holding events including coupons or cashback offers, a mobile lucky bag event, as well as a hot deal event. Since October last year, GS Shop reached a business agreement with SK Telecom to enable users to use its shopping app for free without the burden of data costs. In addition, it has recently introduced Visible ARS service to assist mobile customers. When you connect to the ARS service with a smartphone, voice guidance menus will appear on the smartphone screen at the same time, so you can select products by looking at the screen without having to listen to all of the voice guidance.
모바일이라는 한계를 극복하기 위해서 고객의 행동 기반을 통한 어떤 IT적으로 저희가 서비스 쪽으로 좀 더 디벨롭을 하는 쪽을 가장 관심 있게 보고 있습니다. 실리콘밸리의 어떤 기술이라든지 그런 부분들을 상당 부분 벤치마킹을 하고 있고요. 저희 실정에 맞게 그것을 적용하기 위해서 지속적으로 연구를 하고 있습니다. 그래서 기술적인 부분을 바탕으로 해서 고객 서비스를 좀 더 개선하는 방향으로 좀 더 모바일을 확대할 수 있도록 진행을 하고 있습니다.
From TV to internet and mobile, display screens are getting smaller and smaller. But ICT integrated mobile home shopping services and its potential are growing infinitely.
어떤 사람들이 어떤 시간에 어디로 어떤 속도로 움직이면서 쇼핑을 하고 있는지, 그리고 그러할 때 그 사람들한테 주목되어지는 상품들의 흐름은 어떻게 움직여 나가는지 하는 것들에 대한 그 정보가 점점 더 많이 쌓여 나가고 있고요. 이러한 정보들을 가지고 사람들이 관심을 더 많이 가질 수 있을 만한 콘텐츠와 어떻게 결합시키는가 하는 것이 결국 모바일 쇼핑의 향후의 미래에 있어서 굉장히 중요한 역할을 하게 될 것 같습니다.
As the mobile shopping market gets bigger, home shopping companies are becoming desperate to unveil customer services optimized for mobile devices. Now, TV home shopping is reborn into a smart home shopping, and the internet as fast as the speed of light and our technology armed with high-tech optimal services are at the center of this phenomenon.
North Korea watched with some discomfort as Chinese President Xi Jinping visited Seoul on July the 3rd. Why so? Well, customarily, Chinese presidents have always visited North Korea before coming to South Korea, but Xi has never set foot in Pyongyang. So, does this change in China's diplomatic protocol towards North Korea signal a real change in the relations between these two former blood allies? And if so, what calculations are the two countries making?
Chinese President Xi Jinping on July 3rd made his first presidential visit to South Korea. The bilateral relationship has never been cozier under the two incumbent leaders who both started office early last year. Beijing said Xi, who had been in Seoul for 2 days, was as comfortable and well received as if visiting a relative's home. Xi's visit grabbed global attention because he upended tradition of a Chinese leader visiting Pyongyang before Seoul. Never has a Chinese president visited Seoul before Pyongyang since the two countries formed diplomatic ties in 1992. What does this mean for the two traditional allies who have been committed to one another for decades? Pyongyang could not hide its displeasure over the Chinese president's high-profile first visit to the Korean peninsula, where it chose the south rather than the north. Its pride obviously took a toll as South Korean and foreign media raised hoopla about President Xi snubbing Pyongyang and cozying up with its enemy state.
이미 지난해에 박근혜 대통령이 중국을 방문해서 정상회담이 성사되었고 이번에 이제 두 번째 정상회담 방문입니다. 그런 의미에서는 아직까지 시진핑 주석과 김정은 지도자가 만나지 않은 상황에서는 북한에 대한 압박의 메시지가 있다고 봅니다.
North Korea showed its displeasure by shooting missiles into waters of the East Coast 3 times in a week, the last one on the eve of the day President Xi was to arrive in Seoul.
I don't find any proof that North Korea has launched their missiles due to the Xi Jinping's visit to Korea. But I think North Korean people, North Korean leaders, they are not much happy with this visit to Korea. If North Korea wants to show some dissatisfaction, I think this might be one of the cases, I think.
Beijing, which remained as staunch ally and patron to Pyongyang, began to change its attitude after Pyongyang defied its warnings and went on with a third nuclear test early last year. President Xi has championed for denuclearization in the Korean peninsula for the sake of regional stability. Under his leadership, Beijing supported UN sanctions following the third nuclear test and joined the crackdown on North Korea's dubious overseas financial activities. In the latest summit talks, the two leaders reiterated firm opposition to North Korea's nuclear weapons program.
实现半岛无核化，保持半岛和平稳定，符合六方会谈成员国的共同利益。有关各方应该通过对话协商。
Experts see President Xi's visit to South Korea had a bigger political motive of manifesting China's broader leadership in the region than merely sending a message to Pyongyang.
시진핑 지도부는 이미 2008년 이후에 경제적으로 부상한 중국 속에서 들어선 지도부입니다. 그래서 변화된 중국의 위상만큼 대외적인 목소리를 내겠다라는 게 시진핑 지도부의 입장이고요.
China, almost in equal standing with the U.S. in economic rank, has been realigning its foreign relationships to exercise more influence in the region. Beijing, therefore, would have to keep a distance with Pyongyang if the latter continues with its maverick ways. How is Pyongyang taking in Beijing's new approach?
항상 북한은 불리할 때, 상황이 불리할 때 좀 더 강경한 태도를 통해서 문제를 해결하고자 하는 그러한 의도를 보여왔습니다. 그래서 근본에도 자기들이 불리하기는 하지만 역시 수그린다든가 핵을 포기한다든가 그런 게 아니고 오히려 더 강하게 보다시피 미사일 발사를 한다든가 심지어는 상황이 정말 나쁘게 되면 앞으로 4차 핵실험도 할 수 있는 그러한 방법을 통해서 상황을 돌파하지 않을까 생각을 합니다.
Pyongyang is also expected to seek new rapport with other regional countries to ease its over-reliance on Beijing. It has been recently cozying up with Russia, allowing Russian companies in natural resources development that had been mostly set aside exclusively for Chinese companies, and endorsing trade settlements in Russian currency from April. It suddenly agreed to work with Japan on the issue of abductees, in return for eased sanctions and eventual normalization of diplomatic ties with Tokyo. But few experts expect new relationship with other countries will replace the traditional friendship between Beijing and Pyongyang. According to a Kotra report, North Korea relies nearly 90% of its external trade on China. It could seek more economic cooperation with Russia and Japan, but there won't likely be a huge change in its trade structure.
북한과 중국의 무역을 보면요. 2013년에 한차 핵실험 이후에도 불구하고 무역 총액은 계속 늘어나고 있습니다. 그렇기 때문에 북한의 그 3차 핵실험이 중국의 대북 정책에 변화를 주었지만 양국의 경제 협력, 특히 무역 문제에 있어서는 변화가 없다는 것을 볼 수 있습니다.
Beijing cannot easily give up the North Korean leverage due to its geopolitical significance, especially at a time when it is in confrontation with the U.S. and Japan.
중국이 북한을 포기하기는 힘들 것입니다. 정상적인 관계로 가기는 하지만 역시 경제적 지원이라든가 경제 교류 협력을 지속하고 있고 또 만약에 북한이 붕괴된다든가 급변 사태가 일어날 경우에 한국, 미국, 일본이 북한까지 진격하는 이런 모습이 나타나게 되면 중국으로서는 핵심적인 이익에 훼손을 당할 가능성이 있기 때문에 북한을 절대로 포기는 하지 않을 것으로 생각이 됩니다.
North Korea is also trying to become less dependent on China. But to keep the Kim family dynasty intact, it must have China as its patron.
North Korea wants to have a good relationship with Japan and Russia at this moment, but that doesn't mean that they just give up their relationship with China. China is still, from North Korean perspective, China is still a big brother. The most important thing is they want to secure good, stable relationship with China. But from North Korean perspective, their good relationship with Japan and Russia might put pressure upon China.
The North Korea-China relationship may have been adjusted for respective national interests, but their traditional bondage looks to be intact. Their paths should be closely watched as bilateral ties can greatly influence the geopolitical order.
And that's all we have time for on Bizline this week. But do join us again next week, because Koreans are some of the hardest working people on earth, and their dynamism is appropriately fueled. Visitors to Korea are often overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of coffee outlets crowding Korean streets. And indeed, the bouquet of roasting beans has even overwhelmed the customary waft of fermenting kimchi. So how big is Korea's coffee sector? We'll find out next week. But that's all for now. I'm Andrew Salmon. This was Bizline. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.